Shalom, party people, and welcome to the 12th C. So, Mr. Bug Out Bob Actual, or Across the Table with Bob, asks, can you do an outline of your daily schedule? How do you prioritize and why? What it looked like before your cycle began and what it looks like now. What did you learn from doing wrong, or what did you learn from doing wrong and then also from doing right? What benefits have you seen from doing life this way in reality rather than in theory? All right, so big chunk with that one, and I'm going to prioritize first by saying I think the vast majority of my audience is familiar with Bug Out Bob Actual or Across the Table with Bob, but if you're not, you need to go subscribe because that dude is awesome. Also, Across the Table with Bob, we really miss those episodes of you interviewing people, and I know they take a lot of time and effort, and I understand that you got a lot going. But I'm just going to voice that opinion that there's a lot of us who, whenever you get back around to having people sit across the table from you and do the podcast interview style, that they're amazing. So please get back to that in your own timing, and we will wait with bated breath. So getting to Mr. Bug Out Bob Actual's question, do an outline of your daily schedule. So let's see. Wake up, feet hit the floor sometime between 0400 and 0530, kind of just depending on what the day is and what time I went to bed and all that good stuff. But try to get rolling pretty quick. Take care of morning constitution, bathroom stuff, all that good. And then I will get on a plate carrier and go work out for the vast majority of the week. Go exercise for anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and 20, sometimes a little bit more, just depending on what the day is and what that looks like. But go sweat, go move. And I don't hydrate. I don't do any of that because I'm trying to get my weigh-in to be as low as possible. I'm also used to stressing under low hydration conditions. It's something I've trained for years. It's I know my body and I know when I have to hydrate. But I had a running coach who really drilled it into myself and the whole team that we needed to know how to do it, how to push through when we were severely lacking in hydration. And so that she stressed that hard. But I do see a performance difference, hydrated versus not. Sodium intake, hydration, and not. So it is noticeable. But I go empty. I try to make sure that I can get out as much fluid as possible, so that way my weigh-in is as close to a baseline as possible. Because if anybody has never told you that water weighs something, it sure does. And you're dealing with a pound or two difference depending on how much you sweat and how much you pee. And say you chug a half gallon of water before you really get going, that's 4 pounds right there, depending on what your body puts out. So I do my first workout and I do my first bit of the morning without any hydration. And let's see. Then I will I'll take my picture, I will weigh in, and I will hydrate as much as possible. I'll try to pound minimum a quart of water right then before anything else is going on. And sometimes I can get more, sometimes it's a little bit less, but try to get a quarter of my water intake without much issue right then and there after my weigh-in and after my photo. Then I will usually kind of start gathering up some of my stuff. I'll finish potty needs, brush my teeth, whatever, go take a shower. And then weekdays I go to work a 9-to-5 desk job. I take the stairs. I do not use the elevator at work for a couple of reasons. Number one is I do not like the elevator that we have at my job. It's rickety as all get out. And number two, it's just a bad habit to be in of using that elevator. It's a lot safer to familiarize yourself with the use of the stairs, so that way in the event of an emergency, you can just get out. And it's no big deal. Also, I work 5 floors off the ground, so I take stairs to get up, and I try to take the stairs a couple of times throughout the day just to keep things moving. I do have a stand-up desk instead of a sitting desk, and that does keep me on my feet a little bit more. My coworkers ask all the time, it's like, hey, why do you stand? And I was like, if I start sitting, I'm gonna fall asleep. So it's no good for me to be stagnant. Although I will, if I have meetings or whatever, I'll be sitting if I need to. But my boss actually has a table that we all have our meetings at that's actually really convenient, because the table you can sit or stand because it's like bar height seating. So it's no big deal for me to stand up during the meetings, and it's good. But I've got a desk job, and it's not really for me to talk about my work right now. And just know that it's a corrections environment and all that good stuff. My work day is usually a lot of calls, a lot of emails. I'll run around a little bit here and there. Sometimes I need to go travel for work, and that's part of it. And it is adjusted accordingly. I'll usually eat my lunch after somewhere around noon. My breakfast, if I do eat breakfast, is usually a protein shake, and it's protein powder, collagen, and creatine, and then 12 to 14 ounces of milk. So breakfast as soon as I get to work, and then lunch right around noon or so, give or take. Sometimes as early as 11, sometimes as late as 2 o'clock, just depending on what meetings I've got going on and how much movement and how busy I am and all of that. Then let's see, I usually finish my work day early afternoon, 4 o'clock or so, and I will prioritize getting home, as I can. Sometimes it's 5 when I get home, but it is what it is. I'll get home, and I will assist in whatever my wife and kiddos need. I usually take about 20 minutes to decompress when I get home, and that's just, getting out of my work clothes and getting into something that's going to be more conducive for me, rolling around playing with my kids. I may have to go to the bathroom or whatever, but usually within 20 minutes or so of getting home, I'm ready to be very active in my home, play with my children, help my wife make dinner, do whatever needs to be done as far as that stuff goes. And then throughout the evening, stuff will get done. We'll eat dinner, play with kids, bedtime routine for the kiddos. And then after bedtime is usually when I'll get my second workout in for the most part. And then, so first workout in the AM, second workout is done PM after the kiddos go to bed. Meal times are obviously spread throughout the day. Ideal water situation, a quart before breakfast, a quart in between breakfast and lunch, a quart in between lunch and dinner, and then a quart finishing out the day. Sometime between dinner and finishing it out by the time my second workout rolls around. After that, then I'll usually start taking some some rehydration, sodium content into my water, get my electrolytes in, all that good stuff. But I won't do that until I get my gallon done. So that takes care of food, that takes care of workouts, usually in the second workouts in the evening. My morning workout is usually cardio based of some kind, and my afternoon workout is usually more in the kettlebell or push-ups, pull-ups, calisthenics, whatever. Sometimes I'll play around a little bit. My reading, anytime I'm on a toilet, is usually when I try and get reading done. It's just I'm a captive audience this time. You're not getting back otherwise, and it just prevents you from doing doom scrolling. But I try to have several Bibles in several different places, so I can grab one at work, I can grab one here. It's no big deal. My self-development reading is usually done on the toilet, and it's just captive audience. You got what you got. It's 10-20 minutes that you're not getting back. So easy to get that done. Sometimes I'll do reading in bed, but usually if I'm reading in bed, it's getting pretty close to me just getting really heavy eyelidded and I'll pass out. So I try not to do that, but it depends. So let's see, reading, water, 2 workouts. Yeah, that's pretty well about how a lot of that goes. So the big differences, I guess, is going to be for Shabbat. So my family, we keep Shabbat, and it's sundown Friday to sundown Saturday. So Friday, I will do my very best to get both workouts done before sunset, or if the way my workouts are structured to where that Friday one is not that big of a deal, and it's going to be like stretching or balance, or something where it's not as strenuous, then I will willingly allow myself to do that in the evenings because I'm not straining my body. But it just depends. Sometimes mental health is like, I've got to sweat and I've got to get this out, and so I'll get it done. Conveniently, I have access to a gym at work, so if for whatever reason I miss a morning workout, or if I just want to get my second workout in, I can schedule a little bit of my day in such a way that I can go to the gym, but I can't do it that frequently. But it is there. I have access to a gym and a shower. So I've sometimes done that depending on what my schedule has looked like. But sundown Friday will come. We'll usually eat that meal for that evening. We'll blow our shofar as we do our normal Shabbat blessing for our children. Wife and I will have some time together, and then I may do some stretching or whatever for 45 minutes, as far as more of an active recovery but not straining my body. And then that Saturday day, in the AM, not early AM because I sleep in on Shabbat, but in the AM, sometimes before lunch, I will either do some balance stuff, or I will get into some deep stretches, for whatever, for 45 minutes or so. And then normal eating, normal reading, nothing crazy. The way I have structured things is on the weekends, I have allowed myself to increase my calorie intake to where throughout the week I can decrease my calorie intake. And so that still puts me at a net calorie negative. So that way things are still good on that, but allows me to have something to look forward to. But my main diet is reducing my sugar intake. And this is a tangent I'm running off of, but it does play into some of this, that the way things are structured for me is I have said a hard no to anything above 3 grams of sugar per serving. And that just allows me to, or 3 grams of added sugar per serving. Natural sugars that exist in fruit is fine, but I'm not adding sweeteners, I'm not doing honey, I'm not doing syrup, or anything like that. And I'm not doing any fake sugar. So that has really allowed me to have some peanut butter or whatever, but really watch what the ingredients are of my food. And people are like, oh, well, that's not restrictive enough. It's like, well, for me it is, because I'm a 0 or 100 guy. I can't just have one of something. Like, I'm going to eat it all. And so for me, saying something is off limits is the way to go, instead of saying it's like, okay, you're only going to reduce yourself to this much. So I've just said stuff is off limits, and I'm, one portion, and that's just how my meals are going. So that has played into it. But yeah, Shabbat goes about, sun goes down Saturday night, kids go into bed. And then, as soon as Saturday night rolls around, it's no longer Shabbat. That is when I get a sweat on. So technically 7 calendar days a week, I'm still sweating every day. But as far as the sundown Friday to sundown Saturday, that is a 24-hour block that we are reserving for, at most active recovery. You can go for a walk or whatever, but not straining your body for that period of time. And it's easy to do the food, it's easy to do the reading, it's easy to do everything else in that, but I'm just not straining my body for that. Let's see, priorities for me. That AM workout is usually a priority. There have been days where it's taken me a metric ton just to get out of bed. Like this morning, I slept in so much, and it was like, yeah, this isn't going to happen. So conveniently, because I didn't have work today, I was able to get out there and get my first workout in at a little bit less than ideal time, but it was doable. And on days that I miss the morning workouts, like, it throws everything off. So putting a priority on the morning workout, for 99 times out of 100 is there. And then let's see, why prioritizing that morning workout is because it sets the tone for the rest of the day. I find when you win in the morning, you can pretty well win the rest of the day. And if you don't win the rest of the day, it's not the end of the world. You can still, get stuff done. Let's see what it looked like before the cycle began, what it looks like now. So before this cycle began, when I'm in my off time, like I'm eating everything in sight, easily 7,000 calories a day without trying. And it's something, like I said, I'm 0 or 100. Like 5,000 calories on an off day is not difficult for me. So it's something that prioritizing, like, hey, this is off limits, makes things very restrictive for me, and I can do that. But if I'm like, oh, I'm only going to have one, like that one turns into 100 pretty easy. I've been relatively active most of my life. I mean, there was a period where I wasn't, but I've been relatively active for a lot of it. I just sold myself short on a lot of things. And so doubling down on the discipline of getting this stuff done, it has definitely set the tone. And a lot of this has been, I told myself I was going to do 4 cycles this year. And because of that, I'm trying to keep promises to myself. So that way I'll be more apt to keep promises to other people too. What it looks like now is more discipline, more of a regimented routine. It looks like, I'm at the point where, I'm coasting. It's not the end of the world. I mean, I do, sleep in every once in a while. It's like, okay, yeah, now I've got to get after it, but it's the drive to get stuff done. What did I learn from doing wrong? So easy default, you have a day that you sleep in for whatever reason. I mean, it really, really throws the whole routine off. You have a day where you miss the reading when you're on the toilet or whatever, and then now you got to cram it in somewhere else. You're really robbing Peter to pay Paul at that point. And if you don't just do something, even when you don't feel like doing it, then it's really going to come back and bite you later. So just get it done and get it out. Doing right. I've always been doing the water. That hasn't been an issue. It's not that hard for me to pick up my Bible and do some mass reading. I don't do verses at a time. I do passages at a time. I do chapters, whole sections at a time. That been doing that right for a long time. It's good to reinforce those habits. So that's been wonderful. What benefits have you seen from doing life this way in reality rather than in theory? So part of this, and Bob, you and I have talked about this a little bit. For the longest time, I really wasn't using my gear. I just, go for a run. I might do some push-ups every once in a while. And it's like, I have this, like, why in the world am I not using it? And case in point, like my vest. I've had that body armor for years, and it has just been sitting there collecting dust. And the fact of actually going out and training it has caused me to move things around. It has caused me to realize, hey, this may have been an ideal setup for somebody else, but it's not for me. So I need to shift this. I need to move this here, because when this is here, it rubs against this area. And it's a lot of little things that nobody can ever teach you, but you have got to actually go and do for yourself. It's the same reason why, you may think something's going to work great for you and you buy it and you're like, oh man, this is going to be perfect. And then you find out that it's not, for your context, what's that? It may be the best thing since sliced bread for somebody else, but it's not for you. I bought shoes before that I thought would be ideal running shoes for what my style was, and they weren't. I have had, socks and water bottles and headphones and things like that I thought would be ideal for what my needs were, and they just weren't. Use your stuff. The vest that I have, the kettlebell that I have, I make them work for me. I try to take care of them so that way they take care of me. The rucksack that I've got, I try to actually, oh, hey, maybe I need to shift this around on the inside, repack this here, and then get it to a spot where, it is balanced well for you. Just because someone tells you to do it one way doesn't mean that way is necessarily the way that is idealized to the way that your body moves. And maybe you need to change the way your body moves, but for getting out there and getting things done, the idea is to finish in such a way that you can go again the next day, and not hold back, but make sure that you are giving your all every day and can get stuff done. Actually going and doing and sweating and pushing myself further than I thought I ever could go, and getting things done when I didn't want to get things done. It has shown me in reality that, number one, I'm capable of more than I ever thought I was. Number two, it has made things to where here's something that you viewed as a task or whatever, and now it's no longer a task. Now it is just a way of life. Now it is just getting things done. After all of this is over, I'm still probably going to work out for an hour and a half a day, but I'm probably going to do it in one go instead of splitting it twice. I'm going to try to restructure my eating in such a way that it is more conducive. Something I really do need to work on is that 0 or 100 thing, but that is so much of my life, not just my food, but that is so much of everything that I do. Is it's either all or nothing. So reevaluating, hey, what are some wise decisions of what I can put into my body and how I can do things. But it has shown me also the reality of being faithful in the little things, so that way when stuff really does matter, that I will be faithful in those big things too. That has been a big theme for me all year, and it's been reoccurring my whole life, but it has been a big theme for this entire year, is that the faithfulness in the little things really, really does matter, because it stacks up. So something that I tell my students in a class that I teach a couple times a week is that poo-poo stacks. It doesn't run downhill. Everybody will tell you like, oh, it'll just roll off you and it'll go downhill or whatever. Like, no, it stacks, and it gets to be a big pile. If you don't take care of it, it can really be a big deal. So that's why being faithful in the little things, it really does start to matter, because then you don't have things piling up as much. That being said, thank you for listening to me ramble for almost 22 minutes now. You guys are awesome. Please keep questions coming. It helps me know what you guys want to talk about. Please subscribe if you've been checking stuff out, and dropping a like and a comment of any kind really does help things. Go do hard things.